You might be at the bottom right now. You might be broke, broken, and overlooked. Calling your name. Nobody believes in you. But I came to tell you something today. You don't need their belief to rise. You don't need their approval. All you need is that fire inside your chest that says, I'm not staying down here. Because the bottom, that's not your final destination. It's your foundation. You see, everybody wants power. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants to be strong. But nobody wants to go through the process that produces it. The truth is, pain is the birthplace of power. Power doesn't come when everything is going right. Power doesn't come when life is smooth, when the money's flowing, when everybody claps for you. No, power is born when you're crying yourself to sleep because the world doesn't believe in you. Power is born when you're alone and it feels like nobody sees your effort. Power is born when everything inside of you wants to quit, but something deep inside whispers, keep going. I need you to understand something. Pain is not punishment. Pain is the process. It's the furnace where greatness is forged. You can't develop real strength without struggle. You can't learn patience without delay. You can't know endurance until you've been tested. Everybody wants to lift a trophy, but few want to lift the weight that builds the strength to hold it. When you go through pain, life is not breaking you down. It's building you up from the inside out. The discomfort you feel right now is shaping you into someone you can't even imagine yet. Think about it. Every champion you've ever admired, every person you've ever called successful, they didn't get there without pain. They had to lose something. They had to sacrifice something. They had to walk through fire. The problem with most people is they want the result, but not the refining. They want the top, but they're scared of the climb. And I get it. It hurts. It's lonely. It's frustrating when you keep giving your best and nothing changes. But listen to me. Your pain is not in vain. Every tear, every disappointment, every sleepless night is producing something inside you. It's producing power. You don't know how strong you are until being strong is your only option. When life knocks you down and you still find a way to get up, that's where the power is. When you've been betrayed, abandoned, or laughed at, and you still decide to show up and fight, that's real power. Pain teaches you who you are. It strips away the fake. It humbles you, and it forces you to find your true self. You can't fake strength. You can't act your way through struggle. When pain hits, it exposes the truth. Are you committed or just convenient? Are you determined or just interested? When I was at my lowest point, sleeping in abandoned buildings, eating out of trash cans, I didn't understand it then, but that pain was my training ground. It taught me to grind. It taught me to value every opportunity. It taught me that nobody was coming to save me and that I had to build myself up from nothing. Pain taught me how to fight, how to persist, how to believe when I had no proof that belief would pay off. That's what pain does. It doesn't destroy you, it develops you. It takes your weakness and replaces it with resilience. Most people run from pain. They avoid it, they numb it, they try to escape it. But what they don't realize is that pain is the very thing that can transform them. You can't heal what you refuse to feel. You can't grow from what you run away from. Stop asking for an easy life and start asking for the strength to handle a hard one. The easy route produces mediocrity. The hard road produces mastery. The path of pain is the path of power because it makes you resourceful, grateful, and unstoppable. Some of you right now are going through things that don't make sense. You're asking, why me? But the better question is, why not me? Why shouldn't you be the one who rises from the ashes? Why shouldn't you be the one who turns your suffering into strength? The pain you feel today is shaping your purpose tomorrow. Every setback is setting you up for a comeback. Every trial is teaching you a lesson that comfort never could. When the pain hits, don't tap out, don't fold, don't give up halfway, because pain has an expiration date, but the power it produces lasts forever. Every time you push through something that was meant to break you, you gain something the world can't take away: mental toughness. You learn to trust yourself. You learn that you can survive the storm and still keep moving. That's power, real power. You think muscles grow in comfort? No, they grow from tension, from resistance, from being torn down and rebuilt stronger. The same is true for your character, your faith, your mindset. Life will stretch you, it will pull you, it will challenge you, but every time it does, it's preparing you for something greater. So stop cursing the pain and start respecting it, because pain is not your enemy, it's your trainer. The people who make it to the top, they don't make it because they avoided pain. They make it because they embraced it. They learned how to turn pain into fuel. When they got rejected, they used it as motivation. When life told them no, they turned it into a new route. When the doors closed, they kicked open another one. They didn't cry about it. They grew from it. That's what separates the great from the average. The great understand that the storm doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to clear path. You can't pray for growth and then complain about the pain that comes with it. Growth hurts because it's stretching you beyond what you thought was possible. It's forcing you to evolve. It's uncomfortable because it's creating something new inside of you. And if you can endure the process, you'll come out stronger, wiser, and more powerful than ever before. Pain doesn't take from you. It reveals you. So when you feel like you can't take another step, when the world feels heavy, when you're tired of fighting, remember this. The pain you're feeling today is proof that you're still in the game. You're still alive. You still have fight left in you. The enemy's goal is to make you quit before the transformation is complete. But if you can just endure a little longer, keep pushing a little harder, something inside you is about to shift. You might not see the results right now, but trust me, something is happening in the dark. Seeds don't grow overnight. They grow underground in silence, in pressure. And when the time is right, that little seed breaks through the dirt and becomes a tree. That's you. You're growing through the dirt right now. You're fighting through the darkness. And one day soon, the world will see the power that pain produced in you. Stop asking God to take away the pain and start asking him to give you the strength to carry it. Because he's not punishing you. He's preparing you. Every ounce of pain you've endured is pushing you toward purpose. You're being molded, shaped, refined. You're becoming unbreakable. So embrace the pain because it's not the end. It's the beginning of your power. You didn't get to choose where you were born. You didn't get to choose your parents, your neighborhood, your circumstances. You didn't get to decide if you came up rich or broke, if you had two parents or one, if you had a bed to sleep in or the floor. You didn't get to choose any of that. But let me tell you something. You get to choose how this story ends. You get to decide what you do with the hand you were dealt. You get to decide if you stay a victim of your situation or become the victor of your story. Some people spend their whole lives complaining about how unfair life is. They keep replaying the pain of the past, the people who left, the opportunities they never had. They let their starting point define their ceiling. But the truth is, life doesn't reward excuses. Life rewards effort. You can't control how you started, but you can control how you finish. You can control how you respond, how you grind, how you grow. That's the beauty of life. It doesn't matter where you begin. What matters is what you build. You look at some of the greatest people who ever lived. They didn't start at the top. They weren't born into privilege. They were overlooked, doubted, and counted out. Some of them came from the slums, from broken homes, from nothing. But they made a decision that their start wouldn't determine their finish. They didn't have the best resources, but they had something more powerful, a relentless mindset. They refused to stay stuck where they were. You can't keep crying about what you didn't have. You can't keep blaming your parents, your school, your neighborhood, your past, because there's someone out there who had less than you, who started lower than you, who's grinding right now to build something greater than you can imagine. The difference is not the start, it's the spirit, it's the hunger, it's the belief that I may have been born in the dark, but I'm not dying here. You've got to stop letting your past predict your potential. Just because you were born poor doesn't mean you have to stay poor. Just because you failed before doesn't mean you can't win now. Every new day gives you a new chance to change your direction. Every breath you take is another opportunity to write a different ending. The world will try to label you based on where you came from. But you've got to fight back with where you're going. Maybe you started from the bottom. Maybe you started with nothing. Maybe you started broken. But hear me, that's not your identity. That's just your starting line. Don't confuse your current position with your final destination. You can start in the mud and still finish in the mansion. You can start in pain and still finish in peace. You can start as a nobody and still finish as a legend. The only limit is the one you accept. People will try to remind you of where you came from. Not to motivate you, but to make you doubt yourself. They'll say, you'll never make it. You're not built for this. You weren't born for greatness. But you've got to understand, greatness isn't given, it's grown. It's not about being born lucky, it's about being born willing to work, willing to fight, willing to rise. I started at the bottom. I know what it feels like to have nothing. I know what it's like to sleep. on cold floors, to have your stomach growling because you're hungry, not just for food, but for freedom. But that hunger, that pain, that struggle, that became my fuel. I realized that I couldn't change how I started, but I could change how I showed up every day. I could change how I thought, how I worked, how I believed. I stopped waiting for a miracle and became one. That's what you've got to do. You can't just wish your way out. You've got to work your way out. Stop saying it's not fair. Life isn't fair, but it's faithful. It will give back whatever you put into it. If you put in laziness, it'll give you regret. If you put in excuses, it'll give you disappointment. But if you put in effort, if you stay consistent, if you grind when it's hard and believe when it's dark, life will pay you back in ways you can't imagine. The finish line doesn't belong to the fastest. It belongs to the one who refuses to stop running. You've got to make up your mind right now that where you start won't determine where you stop. You might be at the bottom now, but you don't have to stay there. You might be working a job you hate, but you can use that to fuel your next move. You might be broke, but you can still be focused. You might be tired, but you can still be determined. You've got to play the hand you've got like it's the best one ever dealt. And here's the truth. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to fix your life for you. You are the author of your own story. You've got to pick up the pen and write the next chapter. If your first chapters were messy, write your redemption story. If your past was dark, write your breakthrough story. You can't change your beginning, but you can change the entire direction of your book. When people look at you, they should see proof that where you start doesn't matter. They should see resilience, discipline, and belief. They should see that you didn't fold when life hit you. They should see that you built something from nothing. That's real power. That's real legacy. You've got to be willing to outwork your past, outrun your history, outgrow your pain. You've got to rise above the opinions of people who think they've already figured you out. Don't let anyone else's expectation become your limitation. You owe it to yourself to prove that your start was not your ceiling. It was your setup for greatness. Every single day, you get two choices: stay the same or start changing. That's it. Every morning you wake up, you get a chance to rewrite your story. The question is, are you going to take it? Are you going to let your circumstances define you, or are you going to define your circumstances? Are you going to let your pain hold you back, or are you going to use it as fuel? The choice is always yours. Don't envy people who were born with privilege. Don't waste your energy comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. Their story isn't yours. And sometimes the ones who started high fall faster because they never learned how to climb. But you know what it's like to grind from the dirt. You know what it's like to build from nothing. That kind of strength can't be taught. It's earned through struggle. Every person who ever achieved greatness had to make a decision. I'm not going to let where I came from limit where I'm going. You can be the one who changes the story for your entire family. You can be the first to graduate, the first to build something, the first to break a generational curse. But you got to believe that your effort can rewrite history. You've got to believe that your destiny is stronger than your disadvantage. Maybe you grew up hearing that you wouldn't make it. Maybe people told you that you were too slow, too poor, too uneducated, too broken. But listen to me, you are not what they said. You are what you decide to become. You've got a fire inside you that's stronger than your circumstances. The bottom doesn't mean you're finished. It means you've got a chance to rise. So every day, remind yourself, I didn't get to choose my start, but I'll be damned if I don't choose my finish. I'll finish strong. I'll finish with purpose. I'll finish knowing that I gave everything I had. I might not have been born lucky, but I was born capable. I was born determined. I was born with the will to rise. The pain, the struggle, the doubt, all of it was part of your preparation. It was shaping you for what's coming. You may not have had the best start, but you're still in the race. You're still breathing. You still have time to turn it around. The only person stopping you is you. And when you get to the top, don't forget where you came from. Don't let success make you arrogant. Let it make you grateful. Remember that your start gave you strength. Remember that the bottom gave you character. Because without that, you wouldn't be who you are today. The bottom taught you to fight for everything. And that fight will carry you farther than talent ever could. Doesn't matter if you started behind. What matters is that you refuse to stay behind. It doesn't matter if you started in last place. What matters is that you keep running until you cross the line. Nobody remembers where you began. They remember how you finished. So finish strong, Finish proud. Finish knowing that you didn't let your start define your story. You are not your circumstances. You are not your struggle. You are not your past. You are the decision you make today, the discipline you show tomorrow, and the belief you carry every single day. You may not have chosen your beginning, but you get to choose your ending. And that's where the power is. You want success, but you don't understand where it comes from. You see the spotlight, you see the trophies, you see the applause, and you think that's where people become great. You think it happens when the cameras are on, when the world is watching, when everybody's clapping for you. But let me tell you something. Success is not built in the spotlight. Success is earned in the dark. It's earned when nobody knows your name, when nobody sees your grind, when nobody believes in your dream but you. It's earned when you wake up before the sun and work long after it sets. The dark is where discipline is born. The dark is where focus is sharpened. The dark is where the world can't distract you, where it's just you, your vision, and your will to make it happen. Everybody wants to shine, but nobody wants to struggle. Everybody wants the glory, but nobody wants to go through the grind. You can't skip the darkness and expect to see the light. The dark is not your enemy. It's your environment for growth. When you're alone, when you're grinding and nobody's texting you, nobody's calling you, when it feels like nobody cares, that's where you learn what you're really made of. You learn whether your dream is just talk or if it's something you're willing to bleed for. It's easy to say you want success when things are convenient, when everything feels good. But when it's cold, when it's quiet, when you're tired, when you've got no one cheering you on, that's when success is truly earned. You can't fake work in the dark. The dark exposes the truth. You can post about hustle all you want, but the dark knows if you're real or not. It knows if you're putting in the time. It knows if you're making excuses. The dark sees your effort when nobody else does. And when you're faithful in the dark, when you show up, even when no one is watching, the light will eventually find you. You've got to fall in love with the process, not the praise. Too many people are addicted to validation. They want people to see them grind. They want people to clap for them. They want likes, views, and followers, but the real ones, the ones who rise to the top, they don't need an audience. Their purpose is enough. Their hunger is enough. They don't grind for approval. They grind because it's in their blood. When I was at my lowest point, nobody knew my name. Nobody was calling me the #1 motivational speaker in the world. I was just a kid trying to survive, trying to figure out how to turn pain into power. I spent years in the dark, reading, writing, working, speaking in empty rooms, no cameras, no lights, no fame, just work. And every moment I spent in that darkness was preparing me for the day the light came on. When the world finally saw me, they thought it happened overnight. But what they didn't see were the nights I cried, the mornings I struggled, the hours I practiced when nobody cared. That's where success was earned. You want success, but you're scared of the dark. You want the results, but you don't want the process. You want people to notice you, but you don't want to grind when nobody does. I'm telling you, you've got to stop chasing attention and start chasing mastery. When you chase mastery, you don't care who's watching. You don't care if anybody claps. You just care about getting better. You care about being excellent. The dark teaches you to trust yourself. It builds character. It builds humility. It reminds you that you don't need approval to be valuable. You learn to move in silence, to keep your vision sacred, to let your results speak when it's time. The world loves noise, but the greats, they work in silence. They disappear for months, sometimes years, grinding in private so they can perform in public. The light is for performance, but the dark is for preparation. You can't perform at a high level if you haven't prepared in the dark. You can't be confident in front of the world if you haven't built consistency behind closed doors. The dark is where you learn discipline. And discipline is what separates amateurs from professionals. Discipline is what gets you up when you don't feel like it. Discipline is what keeps you grinding when there's no applause. You've got to stop waiting for motivation. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. Motivation gets you started. But discipline keeps you moving when the excitement fades. You've got to get comfortable with being unseen. Get comfortable being misunderstood. People won't always get it. They won't understand why you're putting in hours when they're sleeping, why you are working when they're partying, why you're focused when they're distracted. But one day they'll see the result. One day the light will hit you and they'll call you lucky. They'll say you came out of nowhere, but you and I both know you came out of the dark. You can't skip the grind and expect greatness. You can't shortcut your way to mastery. The dark doesn't lie. It doesn't let you fake it. It's honest, it's tough, it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. That's where your confidence is built. That's where you learn to trust your work ethic. That's where you build mental toughness. When you've done the work in the dark, when you prepared yourself in silence, no one can take that from you. You walk differently, you talk differently, you perform differently because you've earned it. The problem with too many people is that they want the reward before the work. They want recognition before sacrifice. They want the stage without the struggle. But the stage exposes those who haven't prepared. The dark reveals the truth before the light ever does. You can't skip the grind and expect to shine. The light is for those who stayed faithful in the shadows. When you're in the dark season of your life, it's not punishment, it's preparation. It's God getting you ready for something bigger. It's life building your foundation. The dark teaches you how to stand on your own. It teaches you how to handle success when it finally comes. Because if you can stay disciplined in the dark, you won't crumble in the light. The dark keeps you humble. It reminds you who you are. It strips away ego, laziness, and excuses. You've got to be patient with your process. Just because the world doesn't see you yet doesn't mean you're not growing. Seeds grow in the dark, underground, hidden from sight. Nobody applauds a seed, but when the time is right, that seed breaks through the soil and becomes something powerful. That's what your grind is doing right now. You're in the soil season. If you stay consistent, if you keep feeding your dream with discipline and effort, you're going to bloom. The dark is lonely, but that's where transformation happens. It's not supposed to feel good. It's supposed to stretch you, shape you, and challenge you. It's supposed to break the weak habits that keep you average. You've got to learn to be okay with being uncomfortable. Growth doesn't happen in comfort, it happens in discomfort. Every rep, every early morning, every late night, it's all building something inside you. You can't compare your process to someone else's progress. You might still be in the dark while others are in the light, but that doesn't mean you're behind. It means you're still being refined. It means your time is coming. The ones who rush the process fall apart when pressure hits, but the ones who stay patient, who keep grinding in the dark, they're unshakable when the light shines on them. When you finally get your shot, when the doors finally open, the dark will have prepared you to walk through them with confidence. You'll be ready because you've already done the work. You'll be steady because you've already struggled. You'll be disciplined because you've already been tested. The dark doesn't destroy you, it develops you. So when it feels like nobody sees your effort, when it feels like your work doesn't matter, when it feels like you're invisible, keep going. Don't stop because you're unseen. Don't quit because you're unappreciated. You're not supposed to be seen right now. You're supposed to be building, learning, growing, becoming. Your silence today is setting up your spotlight tomorrow. The dark is where you find yourself. It's where you build habits that last, where you develop faith that won't shake, where you learn to rely on your grind instead of luck. When you've been through the dark, when you fought your way through loneliness, rejection, and doubt, you come out fearless. You come out strong. You come out unstoppable because you know what it took to get there. So don't run from the dark. Don't fight it. Embrace it because the dark is your ally, your training ground, your preparation. Success isn't earned when they see you. It's earned when they don't. It's earned in the silence, in the solitude, in the grind that nobody celebrates. The dark is where you earn the right to shine. When you're at the bottom, it's easy to feel like the world forgot about you. It's easy to believe that your pain, your struggle, your circumstances are permanent. But let me tell you something. Every single person who ever made it to the top started from somewhere low. They started from rejection, from pain, from failure. The difference wasn't where they started, it was what they decided to do when life knocked them down. See, most people want the glory, but they don't want the grind. They want the success, but they don't want the suffering. They want the spotlight, but they don't want the shadows that come before it. If you're at the bottom, this is where your story begins. This is where your hunger is born. This is where your purpose gets tested. And I promise you, this is where your greatness starts taking shape. At the bottom, there's no applause. Nobody's watching. Nobody's cheering. It's quiet. It's lonely and it hurts. But that's where the transformation happens. That's where you build character. That's where you find out who you are when there's nothing left to prove, no eyes on you, no comfort to hold on to. Because when you've lost everything, your job, your confidence, your relationships, your hope, that's when life asks you one question. Now what are you going to do now that you've been broken? Will you stay down there, or will you fight your way back up? Because let me tell you, no one's coming to save you. No one's coming to lift you. You've got to lift yourself. You've got to push through the tears, the doubt, the fear, and rise from the bottom one painful step at a time. You've got to understand, the bottom isn't your punishment. It's your preparation. The bottom is where you're supposed to learn what the top can never teach you. See, when you're at the top, people celebrate you. But when you're at the bottom, people ignore you. And that's where you find your real motivation. That's where you stop doing for attention and start doing it for purpose. The struggle you're facing right now, the sleepless nights, the failures, the rejection, the financial pain, it's building something in you. It's building grit. It's building patience. It's building discipline. Those are the tools that you'll need to stay at the top once you rise. Because if success comes too easy, it doesn't last. But when you fought for it, suffered for it, and cried for it, then no one can take it away from you. You've got to change your mindset about where you are. Stop saying, I'm stuck. Start saying, I'm being built. You're not at the bottom because life hates you. You're at the bottom because you're being tested. The question is, will you pass the test? You've got to wake up every morning and declare, I'm not staying here. You've got to move even when you don't see results. You've got to believe even when you don't feel inspired. You've got to show up even when it hurts. That's how winners are made. Winners don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They fight in the storm. They don't complain about the dark. They learn how to shine in it. They don't wait for motivation. They create it through discipline and consistency. I've seen people rise from nothing, from poverty, from pain, from rock bottom, simply because they refuse to quit. They refuse to let their current situation define their future. And that's what you've got to do. Refuse to let where you are dictate where you're going. You might be broke, but you're not broken. You might be tired, but you're not finished. You might be overlooked, but you're not worthless. Every time life knocks you down, get back up with more determination. Every no you hear should push you toward your yes. Every setback should become your setup for a comeback. Every failure should be fuel for your next success. That's how you rise, not through comfort, but through persistence. When you're at the bottom, you've got two choices. You can either complain or you can climb. Complaining won't change your position, but climbing, even when your hands are bleeding and your legs are shaking, will get you somewhere new. You've got to make a decision right now that you're done feeling sorry for yourself. You're done waiting for help. You're done blaming your past. You're done letting fear control you. You're going to take every bit of pain, every bit of disappointment, and turn it into power. Because when you're hungry, when you're desperate, when you've got nothing left but your will, that's when you become unstoppable. You've got to visualize yourself at the top while you're still at the bottom. See it before you achieve it. Feel it before you touch it. Speak it before anyone else believes it. Say to yourself, I will rise. Not I might, not I hope, but I will. Because faith is what keeps you moving when evidence says stop. You might not see the finish line yet, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. Keep pushing. Keep grinding. Keep believing. Every single day you stay consistent is a day closer to your breakthrough. You don't rise in one big leap. You rise through 1,000 small steps. Every rep, every late night, every early morning, every sacrifice counts. And remember this, the bottom teaches gratitude. When you've struggled, you'll never take success for granted. You'll appreciate the journey because you know what it cost you. You'll treat people with kindness because you remember how it felt when nobody cared. You'll work with humility because you remember what it was like to be ignored. That's the beauty of starting from the bottom. It gives your success depth. It gives your victory meaning. Anybody can rise, but not everyone can stay humble once they do. The bottom gives you that foundation. It gives you perspective. So don't run from the bottom. Don't despise it. Embrace it. Let it build you. Let it refine you. Let it strengthen you. One day, when you're standing on that stage, when you're living that dream, when people call you successful, you'll look back and realize that the bottom wasn't the worst place you've ever been. It was the most important. It was the place where you became who you were meant to be. So get up, wipe those tears, straighten your back. It's time to rise from the bottom because your story isn't over. It's just getting started. When you start from the bottom, life doesn't give you permission to dream. It doesn't hand you a map, and it sure doesn't hand you a guarantee. All you've got is you, your will, your hunger, your drive. And the truth is, most people stop right there because they don't believe what they have is enough. But I'm here to tell you, it is enough. That fire inside you, that voice that keeps whispering, keep going, that's your greatest weapon. Because rising from the bottom isn't about talent. It's about tenacity. It's about refusing to quit when everyone else does. It's about believing in your worth even when you've got nothing to show for it. When you're at the bottom, you've got no fans, no followers, no recognition, and that's exactly where champions are made. When nobody's watching, when no one's clapping, that's when you decide who you really are. See, the bottom strips away all illusions. You can't fake strength down there. You can't pretend you've got it all together. It's raw, it's painful. It's you versus everything that's trying to break you. And that's why the bottom is sacred. Because it's where you stop trying to be perfect and start becoming powerful. When you've been betrayed, when you failed, when life has knocked you down so many times you've lost count, you reach a point where you have to make a decision. Am I going to let this define me, or am I going to use this to refine me? That's the difference between people who stay at the bottom and people who rise from it. The ones who rise don't see the pain as punishment. They see it as preparation. When you've hit rock bottom, you don't have anything to lose. That's your freedom. You can take risks others are too scared to take because they're afraid to fall. But you've already fallen. You know what it feels like to be at the lowest point. So you stop fearing failure. And that's when life changes. Because the moment you stop fearing failure, you start living bold, you start dreaming bigger, you stop playing it safe. Every setback becomes fuel. Every rejection becomes a lesson. Every closed door becomes a redirection. The bottom becomes your foundation. The solid ground you build your new life on. You don't avoid the pain anymore, you use it to climb higher. You've got to understand something. The bottom doesn't mean you're broken, it means you're being rebuilt. Sometimes life has to tear you apart so it can put you back together stronger. You lose people, you lose opportunities, you lose comfort. But all of that loss makes room for something greater, growth. You start discovering strength you didn't know you had. You start realizing you're capable of more than you ever imagined. And that's when your mindset shifts. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, try me. That's the language of a fighter. That's the spirit of someone who refuses to stay down. Because as long as you're breathing, you've got another chance to rise. But here's the truth. Rising from the bottom takes time. It's not instant. It's not overnight. It's a grind. You've got to wake up every single day and make a choice to keep moving. Even when you don't see progress, you've got to keep believing. Even when it looks hopeless, you've got to keep showing up. Even when nobody else believes in you, the ones who make it to the top aren't the ones with the most talent or the best resources. They're the ones who simply refuse to quit. They kept pushing. They kept hustling. They kept believing when everyone else said it's over. And yes, there will be days when you want to give up, days when it feels like you're walking through fire, days when it seems like all your effort is for nothing. But I promise you, those are the days that shape your destiny. Those are the moments when the world is asking you, how bad do you want it? And if you can answer with action instead of words, you'll rise. You'll rise above the pain, above the doubt, above the fear. You'll rise because you've learned how to turn pain into power, struggle into strength, and loss into lessons. The secret is consistency. You can't just work hard once in a while. You've got to work hard every single day, even when no one notices. You've got to keep sharpening your craft, keep improving yourself, keep planting seeds, even when there's no sign of growth. Because the truth is, your time is coming, but only if you stay ready. Opportunity doesn't knock on unprepared doors. When it comes for those who've been grinding in the dark. So keep building, keep learning, keep evolving. Because when your moment arrives, you won't have to chase it. You'll be ready to own it. And let me tell you something else. The people who looked down on you, who ignored you when you were struggling, who counted you out, they're gonna watch you rise. But don't rise for revenge. Don't rise to prove them wrong. Rise to prove yourself right. Because if your motivation comes from anger, it'll fade. But if it comes from purpose, it'll last. You've got to find your why, that deep reason that drives you when everything goes wrong. Maybe it's your family, maybe it's your dream, maybe it's the promise you made to yourself when life tried to break you. Whatever it is, hold on to it. Let it pull you through the heights. Let it fuel your rise. Remember, the climb from the bottom to the top isn't straight. You're going to stumble, you're going to fall again, you're going to take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back sometimes. But that's okay. Progress isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Every time you get back up, you're stronger. Every failure is a brick in your foundation. Every scar is proof that you survived something meant to destroy you. You've just got to keep going, keep trusting the process, because one day you'll wake up and realize you're not at the bottom anymore. You've risen, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. And when that day comes, when you finally look around and see how far you've climbed, you'll know it was worth it. Every tear, every sleepless night, every sacrifice, it all mattered. You'll realize that the bottom wasn't the end. It was the beginning. It was the place where your hunger was born, where your faith was tested, where your purpose was forged. The bottom taught you resilience. It taught you humility. It taught you how to fight. And those lessons will stay with you forever. Because once you've learned how to rise from the bottom, you'll never fear falling again. You'll know that no matter what happens, you've got what it takes to rise again. So if you're at the bottom right now, don't you dare quit. Don't you dare doubt yourself. You're not buried, you're planted. This is your season to grow. The pain you're feeling is temporary, but the strength you're building is permanent. Keep pushing, keep believing, keep fighting. Because one day soon you're going to rise. And when you do, the same world that once overlooked you will have no choice but to see you shine. When you're at the bottom, you don't get choices handed to you on a silver platter. You get decisions that define who you are. You can either sit there and complain about your situation, or you can start climbing out of it one painful inch at a time. It's easy to talk about what you want when life is comfortable, when the bills are paid, when everyone's cheering you on. But when you're broke, tired, ignored, and frustrated, that's when you find out what you're really made of. That's when life looks at you and says, show me. Not tell me, not post about it, but prove it. And most people, they fold, they complain, they blame the world. But the few, the rare ones, they climb. They decide that no matter how bad it hurts, no matter how far they've fallen, they're going to rise. Complaining doesn't change your circumstances. It changes your energy. Every time you talk about how unfair life is, you give power to your pain. You feed your frustration. You keep yourself trapped in the same place. But the moment you shift from complaining to climbing, everything starts to change. Because when you climb, you take responsibility. You stop waiting for a miracle and you start becoming one. You stop asking for help and you start helping yourself. That's when you start seeing progress. Not because life suddenly got easier, but because you got stronger. Climbing is hard. It's not glamorous. It's not something people post on social media. It's messy. It's exhausting. It's lonely, but it's necessary because no one's going to carry you to the top. You've got to climb for it. You've got to wake up every morning with that fire in your chest that says, I'm not staying here. You've got to fight against the voice that tells you you're not good enough, that you'll never make it, that you're wasting your time. You've got to fight your own doubts harder than you fight your circumstances, because your biggest battle isn't with the world. It's with the person staring back at you in the mirror. Every climb begins with a step. It doesn't matter how small that step is. What matters is that it's forward. Maybe it's waking up earlier. Maybe it's learning a new skill. Maybe it's forgiving yourself for your past. Maybe it's simply deciding not to quit today. Whatever it is, take that step, because small steps compound into big victories. The reason most people never rise is because they want to leap instead of climb. They want to skip the struggle, but the climb is what builds you. The climb is where you learn patience, discipline, and humility. The climb is what makes you worthy of the summit. You've got to stop comparing your journey to someone else's. You might be climbing a mountain while they're walking a flat road. Don't envy their speed. Respect your struggle, because while they're getting tired on level ground, you're building strength with every uphill step. You're learning how to breathe through pain, how to focus under pressure, how to keep moving when everything in you screams to stop. That's something most people never learn. And when you finally reach your destination, you'll realize that the climb gave you something more valuable than success. It gave you resilience. When you're climbing, expect resistance, expect storms, expect setbacks, but don't take them personally. Take them as proof that you're moving. The mountain doesn't get steep for people standing still. It gets steep for those who are rising. So if life feels hard right now, that's your confirmation that you're on your way up. Keep your hands on the rock. Keep your eyes on the peak. Don't look down. Because Because the moment you start focusing on how far you still have to go, you'll forget how far you've already come. Celebrate the progress, even if no one sees it, even if it feels small. It matters. Every scar, every struggle, every fall you've survived means you're still climbing. You'll lose people on the way up. Not everyone who started with you will finish with you. Some can't handle the altitude. Some will try to pull you down because they're afraid to climb themselves. Don't take it to heart. That's part of the process. You can't take everyone with to the top. The air gets thinner up there. The journey requires focus, sacrifice, and hunger. You've got to leave behind the negativity, the excuses, the comfort zone, and sometimes even the people who don't believe in your vision. You're not being selfish. You're being focused. And if you keep climbing, one day they'll look up and realize you made it not because you had help, but because you had heart. The climb will test you in every way possible. You'll question yourself. You'll wonder if it's worth it. You'll think about turning back. But that's when you've got to remember why you started. You didn't start this journey to stay the same. You didn't go through the pain just to give up halfway. You started because you believe, even if just for a moment, that there's something better waiting for you. Hold on to that belief. Protect it. Because when everything else fades, that belief will be your rope. It will keep you moving when you want to quit. It will remind you that the view from the top is worth the climb. And when you finally make it, when you stand at the top, out of breath, bruised and proud, you'll realize something powerful. The mountain didn't change. You did. The mountain was always there. The obstacles were always there. But now, you're not the same person who started at the bottom. You're stronger. You're wiser. You've learned that the climb wasn't about the destination. It was about transformation. You became the kind of person who can handle success because you've already survived struggle. Then something even more beautiful happens. You stop climbing just for yourself. You start reaching back to help others up. You start sharing your story, your lessons, your scars. You become proof that rising from the bottom is possible. And that's the real victory. Not the view from the top, but the impact you make by showing others that they can climb too. Because when people see you rise, when they see where you came from and what you overcame, it gives them permission to believe in themselves again. So stop complaining. Stop waiting for life to change. Start climbing step by step, inch by inch, day by day. Don't rush it. Don't fear it. Embrace it. Because one day, when you look back at where you started, you'll realize that every ounce of pain, every moment of doubt, every tear was worth it. You'll see that the climb didn't just take you to the top. It built you into the kind of person who belongs there. And once you've learned how to climb from the bottom, there's no mountain on earth that can stop you again. You've got to visualize yourself at the top while you're still standing in the dirt. That's where greatness begins. Not when people are cheering for you, but when no one believes in you. When there's no applause, no spotlight, just you and your dreams. Most people quit because they can't see past their current situation. They let their reality define their destiny. But you've got to be different. You've got to see yourself winning before the victory even happens. You've got to talk like it, walk like it, believe like it, even when you're surrounded by doubt, because that's what faith looks like. Faith isn't believing once it happens. Faith is believing when it makes no sense to. When everything around you screams give up, you've got to whisper back, watch me rise. You might not have the money right now, you might not have the resources, the support, or the recognition. What you do have is vision. And that's where all success begins. Every empire started in someone's mind. Every movement started with a dream. Every champion was once a person who refused to let their circumstances dictate their outcome. You've got to close your eyes and see it. See the life you want. See the person you want to become. Feel it before it exists. Speak it into existence every single day. Because when your mind can see it, your body can chase it. When your heart believes it, your habits will follow. The problem is, too many people want to see before they believe. They want proof before they have faith. But it doesn't work like that. You've got to plant the seed long before you see the tree. You've got to water your dream with effort, with discipline, with patience, even when there's no sign of growth. That's what separates dreamers from achievers. Dreamers talk about what they want. Achievers work for what they want. When you can see the invisible, you can do the impossible. Because once you've seen yourself succeed in your mind, the world has no choice but to catch up. Every day you wake up, remind yourself of where you're going. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Visualize it like it's already yours. You've got to train your mind to believe so deeply that failure doesn't scare you anymore. You've got to condition your thoughts to focus on the goal, not the struggle, because your life moves in the direction of your strongest thoughts. If you keep focusing on what's wrong, you'll stay stuck. But if you focus on where you're headed, you'll start moving there, even when the path isn't clear. That's the power of vision. It pulls you forward when motivation fades. It keeps you climbing when your strength is gone. You've got to understand, nobody will see what you see. Nobody will feel what you feel. Don't expect people to support your vision when they can't even see it. It wasn't given to them, it was given to you. And that means it's your responsibility to protect it, nurture it, and fight for it. People will doubt you. They'll call you crazy. They'll laugh at your dreams. Let them. That laughter becomes fuel. That doubt becomes energy. Every you can't becomes a reason to prove that you can. Because when you're walking in faith, their opinions don't matter. Their disbelief doesn't define your destiny. You've got to act like you've already won. That doesn't mean pretending or faking success. It means carrying yourself with confidence, discipline, and purpose. You move differently when you know where you're going. You stop wasting time. You stop chasing validation. You stop making excuses. You start aligning your habits with your vision, because vision without action is just imagination. You can't pray for success while practicing laziness. You can't want the top while living like the bottom. You've got to prepare now for what you're asking for. If you say you want to be successful, start living like success is your standard, not your wish. There'll be days when nothing makes sense. Days when it feels like the vision is fading, when you question everything. That's when you've got to lean into faith the hardest. You've got to remind yourself that the darkness is part of the process. Every seed grows underground before it sees the sun. Just because you can't see progress doesn't mean it's not happening. Growth happens in silence and struggle and persistence. Don't confuse waiting with wasting. You're being developed, not delayed. The longer it takes, the stronger you'll be when you arrive. When you're chasing a vision, you'll walk alone sometimes. That's the price of purpose. You can't take everyone with you, and that's okay. Some people won't understand your hustle. Some won't support your grind. Some will even try to talk you out of your dream because they've given up on theirs. You've got to learn to walk alone with your belief. You've got to learn to silence the noise and trust your process. Because if you spend your life explaining your dream to small minds, you'll never have time to build it. Let your success be the explanation. Let your results be the proof. But don't just dream about reaching the top. Prepare for what it takes to stay there. The top isn't a place of comfort. It's a place of responsibility. It requires more discipline, more humility, more focus. That's why the climb matters so much. It builds you into someone who can handle the view. The bottom is your training ground. The struggle is your conditioning. Every failure, every setback, every long night is preparing you for the pressure that comes with success. You don't want to reach the top unprepared, because if your character can't handle what your vision creates, it'll all fall apart. That's why you've got to see success differently. It's not about cars, money, or fame. It's about growth, purpose, and impact. It's about becoming the best version of yourself so you can help others become theirs. Because when you truly rise, you don't rise alone. You bring others with you. You turn your pain into a platform. You turn your story into strength. You become living proof that it's possible. When you rise from the bottom, you've got to understand that the climb will be lonely, painful, and filled with moments that make you question everything about yourself. But it's in those moments that your true strength is revealed. When you have nothing, no support, no recognition, no applause, that's when your grind becomes pure. Because at the bottom, there's no one to fake it for. No one's watching. You're not doing it for likes. You're not doing it for followers. We're doing it because deep down, you refuse to stay where you are. You look around and realize the only way out is up. That's where greatness begins. Not when you're surrounded by comfort, but when you're surrounded by chaos and still decide to move. When you're at the bottom, every single step feels like climbing a mountain. You'll fail. You'll get rejected. You'll work harder than most and still feel unseen. But don't confuse being unseen with being unworthy. Sometimes God hides you while he builds you. Sometimes the delay isn't denial, it's preparation. You're being prepared for something bigger, something that requires the kind of discipline, humility, and perseverance that only comes from starting low. People who start at the top rarely appreciate the climb. But when you come from the dirt, you value every inch you gain because you earned it. You fought for it. You bled for it. And that's what gives your success meaning. You see, the problem with too many people is that they want the success story without the struggle. They want the blessing without the burden. But what you have to understand is that your pain is part of the process. The struggle gives your story its power. Without the struggle, your victory means nothing. When you rise from the bottom, you're not just fighting to get out. You're building a version of yourself that can never go back. Every failure teaches you something about resilience. Every rejection strengthens your character. Every lonely night builds your focus. So when you finally get to the top, you don't just stand there, you own it. Because you know what it took to get there. When you rise from the bottom, people will doubt you. They'll talk behind your back, tell you that you can't do it, that it's impossible. But here's what you need to understand. Their doubt is not your truth. Their words don't define you. Your actions do. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your grind. Let your results do the talking. Don't waste energy trying to convince people to believe in you. Prove them wrong by staying consistent, by waking up every day and putting in the work, even when you're tired, even when it hurts, even when you feel like nothing's changing. Because that's when most people quit, but not you. You're built different. You've got that fire in your chest, that hunger in your eyes, that drive that says, I will not stay down. And understand this, the climb is supposed to hurt. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Muscles grow when they're torn. You can't expect greatness without sacrifice. You'll lose sleep, lose friends, maybe even lose yourself for a while. But every loss is a lesson. Every setback is a setup for your next move. You've got to train your mind to see struggle as opportunity. Because if you can push through the pain, you'll find power. If you can survive the storm, you'll find strength. You've got to stop running from discomfort. That's where transformation happens, when you're at the bottom. It's easy to feel like you've been forgotten. But the truth is, sometimes being at the bottom is the best place you can be, because that's where you build the foundation. You learn how to work when no one's clapping. You learn how to stay focused when nothing's going your way. You learn how to depend on yourself. You learn that your worth isn't defined by where you are, but by what you're becoming. That's the beauty of starting from the bottom. You become unbreakable. You develop the kind of faith and grit that can't be taught, only earned. Every day you wake up, you've got two choices. Stay where you are or rise. Every single morning, you have the power to decide that today will not be wasted. You have the power to fight back, to keep climbing, to take one more step. You might not see the results yet, but progress doesn't always make noise. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it's just you, grinding in the dark while everyone else sleeps. And that's okay, because when the light finally hits, they'll see what you were building all along. And they'll call you lucky. They'll say, you made it overnight, but you'll know the truth. It took years of sacrifice, years of discipline, years of being overlooked. You've got to believe even when nobody else does. You've got to hold on to the vision, even when it feels impossible. Because the moment you stop believing is the moment you stop climbing. Faith is what keeps you moving when logic tells you to quit. Faith is what whispers, keep going, when everything around you screams, give up. The bottom isn't your final destination. It's your starting point. You've got to stop saying, why me? And start saying, try me. Life's not testing your weakness, it's developing your strength. You've already survived worse. You just forgot how powerful you are. And remember, when you rise from the bottom, don't forget where you came from. Stay humble, stay grounded, because the same struggle that built you can rebuild someone else. Use your story to inspire, to lift others who are still down there fighting their way up. That's what true success looks like. Not just making it to the top, but reaching back and pulling someone else with you. Because the climb isn't just about you. It's about legacy. It's about impact. It's about showing the world that no matter how deep you fall, you can always rise again. You were not born to stay down. You were born to rise. You were born to overcome. You were born to prove that starting from the bottom doesn't mean staying there. It means your story has power. Your scars have purpose. And your struggle, that's your strength. So get up, wipe the dirt off. Look in the mirror and remind yourself who you are. You're a fighter. You're a survivor. You're built for this. The bottom was just your beginning. The top is your destiny. Rise from the bottom and show the world what unstoppable looks like. When you rise from the bottom, one of the hardest lessons you'll ever learn is that success doesn't come overnight. It's not a switch you flip. It's a seed you plant and nurture day after day, even when it looks like nothing is growing. Every great person you admire, every champion, every leader, every success story started with nothing but a dream and the will to keep going when nobody else believed in them. You've got to understand that the process is slow because it's designed to shape you. If you got everything you wanted too soon, you wouldn't be ready to handle it. The grind isn't just about getting to the top. It's about becoming the person who deserves to be there. When you're starting from nothing, you've got to be your own motivation. You won't have a cheering squad. You won't have people supporting you in the beginning. In fact, you might have people laughing at you, doubting you, and telling you to quit. That's when you got to look in the mirror and say, I believe in me, because sometimes that's all you'll have. Your belief. That's your fuel. That's what pushes you through the late nights, the early mornings, the pain, the rejection, the heartbreak. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to hand you success. You've got to take it. You've got to earn it. Every drop of sweat, every tear, every setback is part of your training. You have to become obsessed with growth. You can't just talk about wanting to rise. You've got to live it. You've got to be willing to learn, to fail, to get uncomfortable. You've got to study your craft, sharpen your skills, and constantly push yourself past your limits. Success doesn't belong to the most talented. It belongs to the most disciplined. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're lazy, inconsistent, and afraid of hard work, you'll never rise. But if you wake up every day with the mindset that says, I will not waste this opportunity, then eventually the world has no choice but to notice you. There will be days when you'll want to quit, days when nothing makes sense, days when you'll question if it's all worth it. And on those days, you've got to remember why you started. You've got to remind yourself of that moment when you decided that enough was enough, that you were tired of being broke, tired of being average, tired of being overlooked. That hunger you felt at the beginning, that fire that made you start, you've got to protect that with everything you've got, because that's what will carry you when motivation fades. Discipline and purpose are what keep you moving when the excitement wears off. When you're rising from the bottom, you're going to lose some people. Not everyone will understand your grind. Some people will try to hold you back because your growth exposes their stagnation. Some will walk away because your drive makes them uncomfortable. And that's okay. Let them go. Everyone can't come with you to the top. You can't carry dead weight and expect to fly. The ones meant to stay will support your vision. The rest will fall away when the pressure builds, and that's how you'll know who's real. Don't waste time chasing approval. Focus on your mission, because your dream is your responsibility, not theirs. At the bottom, you learn to appreciate small wins. You learn to celebrate progress, no matter how slow. You learn to be patient with your process. Every little step forward counts. You might not be where you want to be yet, but you're closer than you were yesterday. And that matters. That's growth. That's movement. Don't let comparison steal your joy. Just because someone else's path looks faster or smoother doesn't mean you're failing. Everyone's journey is different. The race isn't about who gets there first. It's about who refuses to quit. So stay focused on your lane, keep your eyes on your goal, and trust that your time is coming. Pain is part of the climb. You can't rise without it. Every struggle is a lesson in disguise. Every heartbreak builds emotional strength. Every rejection builds mental toughness. Every failure teaches you something that success never could. So stop running from the pain. Embrace it. Learn from it. Let it refine you instead of breaking you. Because the truth is, the pain you feel today is building the strength you'll need tomorrow. You can't reach the top if you're afraid to fall. You can't win if you're afraid to lose. The greatest people on this planet are the ones who failed the most and refuse to give up. You've got to be willing to do what others won't. You've got to work when they sleep, study when they party, and grind when they rest. Because the top isn't for the average, it's for the hungry. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve is consistency. You can't rise if you only work hard when it's convenient. You've got to show up even when you don't feel like it. You got to keep moving even when it hurts. Every single day you put in the work, you're building momentum. And one day you'll look back and realize that everything you went through was preparing you for this moment. As you climb, don't forget to stay grateful. Gratitude keeps you grounded. It reminds you how far you've come, even when you're not where you want to be yet. It keeps your heart humble and your mind focused. Gratitude turns pain into perspective. Instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Start saying, what is this teaching me? That shift in mindset changes everything. Because when you stop seeing problems as punishments and start seeing them as lessons, you grow faster. Rise stronger. You begin to understand that everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, is working for your elevation. And finally, when you rise from the bottom, remember that your story isn't just for you. Somebody out there needs your testimony. Somebody's watching your journey, waiting to see if it's possible for them too. So don't hide your scars. Don't be ashamed of where you came from. Your pain has power. Your story can save lives. That's why you can't quit. That's why you can't stop. Now, the world needs what you have inside you. Your voice, your strength, your message, your fire. You didn't come this far just to make it halfway. You didn't survive all that struggle just to settle. You came to rise. You came to conquer. You came to show that no matter how low life takes you, you can always get back up stronger. So stand tall. Keep climbing. Keep believing. You've already made it through the hardest part, starting. Now it's about finishing. Don't stop until the world knows your name. Don't stop until your dreams become your reality. Don't stop until you rise so high that the same people who doubted you have to look up to see you. Because that's what it means to rise from the bottom, to take every piece of pain, every ounce of doubt, every moment of struggle, and turn it into your victory. You were born to rise. Now prove it. When you rise from the bottom, you've got to understand something deep. Success isn't just about what you achieve. It's about who you become in the process. The climb will change you. It will test your patience, your faith, and your endurance. It will strip away your pride, your excuses, and everything that's weak inside you. Rising from the bottom is not about luck. It's about persistence. It's about showing up every day when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when the only voice you hear is the one inside your head saying, keep going. That voice. That's your power. That's the difference between those who make it and those who don't. Because when you start from the bottom, you learn how to survive before you learn how to succeed. At the bottom, life doesn't give you comfort. It gives you challenges. It gives you pain. It gives you struggle, and it gives you rejection. Not to break you, but to build you. Every time you fall, every time you fail, every time you get told no, you're being trained to handle the weight of your future success. You can't carry greatness with weak shoulders. You've got to be tough enough to endure. You've got to learn to work hard without needing validation. You've got to learn to trust the process even when it feels like nothing's working. Because the truth is, the bottom isn't a punishment. It's preparation. It's the classroom where you develop the hunger, the discipline, and the resilience that success demands. You see, when you come from the bottom, you don't have the luxury of quitting. You can't afford to stop just because it's hard. You've already been through pain. You've already been through loss. You've already survived worse. So why quit now? Every scar you've got, every tear you've shed, every dark night you've endured, it wasn't for nothing. It was teaching you to keep fighting. You've got to remind yourself, I've been through too much to turn back now. You didn't climb out of that hole just to fall back in. You didn't come this far to give up. You came this far to go further. And when you start rising, people will notice. Some will cheer you on, but others will doubt you. Some will support you, but others will envy you. Don't get distracted by the noise. Focus on your mission. Your rise isn't for them. It's for you. Let your success speak for itself. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. You don't need to explain your grind to people who've never walked in your shoes. Keep your head down and keep working, because one day the same people who ignored you will have no choice but to respect you. They'll see the results. They'll see the transformation, and they'll realize you were never chasing validation. You were chasing greatness. Rising from the bottom means embracing discomfort. You can't grow in the same environment that broke you. You've got to step out of your comfort zone and face your fears. You've got to be willing to look foolish, to make mistakes, to fail publicly. Because that's how you learn. That's how you evolve. Too many people want to rise, but they're afraid to be uncomfortable. They want the success story without the struggle. But real growth only happens in the struggle. Diamonds don't shine without pressure. Gold isn't pure without fire. You're being refined by every challenge, shaped by every failure, strengthened by every setback. So stop avoiding the hard stuff. That's where your breakthrough is hiding. You've got to keep your mind strong, because that's where the real battle is fought. It's not your body that gives up first. It's your mind. The moment your thoughts turn negative, your actions start to follow. You've got to train your mind to believe when everything looks impossible. You've got to tell yourself, I can do this, even when the evidence says otherwise. The most powerful weapon you have is your mindset. The world can take your money, your job, your comfort, but it can't take your determination. As long as you have that, you're unstoppable. Every time you rise from a fall, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. And that experience makes you wiser, stronger, and hungrier. When you're rising, you've got to develop tunnel vision. You can't be distracted by what others are doing. You can't let social media fool you into thinking everyone's winning except you. You don't know their journey, their sacrifices, their struggles. Focus on your own lane, because the only competition that matters is the one between who you were yesterday and who you are today. Every small improvement counts. Every inch forward matters. Don't despise the slow climb. It's better to grow steady than to fall fast. Your foundation determines how high you can go. So take your time. Build strong, build solid, build something that lasts. When you rise from the bottom, humility is your anchor. Don't ever forget where you came from. Don't ever look down on the people who are still where you once were. Remember the hunger, the pain, the nights when you prayed for the life you have now. Gratitude keeps you grounded. It reminds you that everything you've achieved is not just because of your strength. It's because of grace, perseverance, and the lessons learned along the way. Stay humble, stay hungry, and stay human. Because the moment you start thinking you've made it, that's the moment you start falling again. And understand this, your rise will inspire others. There are people watching you, people who believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourself. They're waiting to see if it's possible, if someone like you can actually make it out. So when you feel like giving up, remember them. Your story could be the reason someone else doesn't quit. Your comeback could be the blueprint for someone else's breakthrough. That's why you got to keep pushing. That's why you can't stay down. Your rise isn't just about you. It's about everyone who will be lifted by your example. At the end of the day, rising from the bottom isn't about reaching the top. It's about proving to yourself that you were never meant to stay down. You were meant to grow, to evolve, to overcome. You were meant to take everything that was meant to destroy you and use it as fuel to build your destiny. The bottom wasn't your ending. It was your beginning. Every moment you spent struggling, every failure, every doubt, every sleepless night, it was all part of your story. And now it's time for your rise. Not tomorrow, not someday,